I broke the awning. First time on this trip setting it up, and I broke it. In this episode, we're going to be talking about our third leg of the journey, which was from our campsite in northern Texas up into Colorado, actually. So we woke up in that really windy campground in northern Texas. It's the one where we woke up early because Sailor puked in the bed. And I decided to make breakfast where I just was cooking eggs for, 40 minutes. My eggs just never cooked. So I basically spent the whole time just dirtying up dishes, and then the rest of the time was me cleaning those dishes. So we went from northern Texas into, I think we drove about 5 hours up to Mosca, Colorado. I don't know if it's Mosca, Colorado or Mosca. So here's the thing with dispersed camping. When you're looking for campsites, something definitely will go wrong. Something always goes wrong. So you have to allow a good amount of time to find a site. I don't know what other people do, but for me, I want to be somewhere where there's a good balance of some people in case something goes wrong, just for safety, and just not being in a crowded campground. So it's dispersed camping in Mosca, Colorado. So with these dispersed sites, if it's like, we're all looking at the same sites online and we're all headed for the best rated ones, everyone's looking for the same things. So by the time you get to each of these sites, usually, the good spots are taken, or you get there and it's closed a lot of the times, or it's just kind of a little shady in some sort of way, and you want to keep moving. And then the next spot that is available or whatever could be another hour away. So you don't want to wait until it's evening and it's getting dark and you're scrambling to find a site. Shit in my hair. You kind of end up in these sites at like midday, or like somewhere where it's like the hottest point in the day, and you have to find a way to like sit around, and not all these campsites have shade. We're just hanging out waiting for sunset, and we have to sit on this side of the car. This place, it was in the desert. We initially found a spot higher up on the hill, and it was crazy windy. I broke the awning. First time on this trip setting it up, and I broke it. I tried to set up this awning that I got for the first time, and it promptly broke. We spent the rest of the afternoon sitting behind the 4Runner in the shade because it was the only patch of shade that we had. Hanging out in the shade, got a ton of sunscreen on, got a hat on. No, I don't skate, I just liked the hat. So we're gonna sit here for another few hours waiting for golden hour, and we're just gonna enjoy this view. There's nothing wrong with that. You make do, you make it work, but it could have gone better. But yeah, so we were getting all these like spines in our feet. There was like a bunch of broken glass, which, guys, don't keep your campsites clean. These are free campsites, and they're not gonna stay free if people can't clean up after themselves. It's kind of just the way that works. The golden hour came, it was like beautiful sunset, the temperatures dropped, it was beautiful. We saw a bunch of critters. So the next morning we woke up really early and decided to go to Great Sand Dunes National Park, because that is right up the road. Beautiful drive. We were heading there so early that they weren't open yet, which is always nice because the later you go, the more crowds are going to be there. I think we left at like maybe sunrise. We got there like just as the sun was coming up, and because we were there so early, Sailor got to run off leash in the dunes. Now, I've seen this dog happy, but I have never seen her this excited. Go! That dog got to experience so many things she had never experienced before on this trip. What else was I supposed to talk about? Now, this part of the trip, heading north from Mosca up through Colorado, was when it started to get really good. This is when we started to find just random, like, you're like, what is that mountain? And you just pull over to the side of the road and there's just an amazing trail to hike. So we did a lot of that. We actually did a lot of wandering, just finding roadside trails, heading out, just adventuring and snapping pictures and looking for dilapidation as per usual. We were headed for Twin Lakes, Colorado to disperse camping up there, which is basically exactly what it sounds like, those two lakes. And we had this amazing site. It was in a little forested area. And again, there were people around, but we had our own little area. So we got there at like a, midday, good timing. And this time we had shade and we had a good breeze and we were overlooking this beautiful lake. Like the view there was just insanely beautiful. We finally got to do that cliche Instagram, YouTube thing where we opened the back of the 4Runner and just laid down. We finally got to rest. We just spent the day relaxing. It was so nice. I think I took a little nap. Sailor definitely napped. Then a little later, we met a few of our fellow campers, which was one of the few times, mostly because we're not around people as much. And then also with COVID happening, no one really is open to mingling and hanging out, which obviously I'm not either. But we ended up actually talking to some of our neighbors, and this group of guys from, I think they were from Ohio, they were there hiking. I think they'd done a couple 14ers, and they invited us to go fishing with them. So our campsites were in this little wooded area overlooking the lake, but we went to this reservoir, which was just behind us, and went fishing. Didn't catch anything. Just being there at that time and the sunset, and these guys were cool, and we hung out with them. And so it was just a really lovely evening. And then after that, they invited us back to their campfire. And then it got really cold and we went back to our campsite and went to sleep. And it was a glorious night of sleep. That's what it looked like. All right, we're in Colorado and we're about to head to Wyoming. I don't know if you can see it, but that view is just insanity. There's Sailor. You ready to roll? You ready to roll? Okay, I think that's a yes. So now we are going to drive for 5 hours. Every campsite we had stayed at to this point was beautiful. Everything had its own beauty, but this was the first site where it was like, wow, I could really stay here for a few days. I didn't, because of course I can't. I'm not capable of that. Honestly, this was the part of the journey where things just started to become a little bit more easy. We actually had a moment to breathe. Yeah, I would say this is the part of the trip where things started to kind of fall into place. Not that it's ever easy. It is worth it. The trade-off is worth it. Anyway, that's it. So like and subscribe and bell and click and ding and all those things and tell your friends, and maybe this could be something cool. I don't know. Maybe I could inspire somebody who's thinking about doing a solo female adventure to actually pursue it. Maybe I know there's a lot of people doing this stuff out there, but I don't know, maybe a new perspective, traveling with a dog. I have no idea what I'm doing, but it kind of seemed like a fun experiment and a good way to practice out my new film skills. And I'll see you in the next episode. So stupid. This is so stupid. So awkward, but whatever, I'm doing it. I'm sweating. Okay.